Hi. Today's a hot one. 30 degrees here in the deep south today. How do you like my new t-shirt? I didn't even have to get this one printed. It was in Kmart, and so I simply had to have it. Now, I'm at the pool, and I'm breaking another first today. Not the being at the pool part. The wearing the shorts part. First time wearing shorts since my surgery. And not only that, no shrinker. I was told at the limb centre last week that I didn't need the shrinker for shrinking purposes. It has done its job now, but it wouldn't hurt to keep it on in between when I'm not wearing the leg. But it is so freaking hard to get on when you are hot and wet and have been swimming that I decided to abandon that idea, and I'll put it on later when I get back, since it's not imperative that I wear it all the time and it's all healed and there's nothing stuck to me. Then I might as well. I've also stopped caring about all of the many scars I've got because, hell, nobody's going to be staring at the scars. What they'll be staring at is the missing leg. And I'm kind of getting used to it. Sometimes it annoys me, sometimes more than others. And what I wanted to talk about today was how to keep a leg on. Now, I posted this picture on social media this morning because a view of both my knees is actually become quite rare. Now, when I was at the limb centre last week, I was told that I didn't need to keep the compression sock on all the time for compression purposes, because the first couple of months is when it does its main job, but they advised me to keep it on like most of the time. But the problem I have with it now is that it keeps coming off. So it slides off very gradually and I have to keep pulling it up like a sock that falls down. But sometimes when it's hot, when I've had, usually when it's hot, it really irritates and it starts to get really itchy and I take it off. And it was only then when I realised actually the view of both my knees is quite unusual. And why does my knee have to be covered up all the time? Well, there's a lot of science that goes into keeping a prosthetic leg on. Now, I remember my very first appointment to the limb centre, whilst I was in HDU, still quite unwell following the bypass surgery. I demanded I speak to the limb centre because I knew that ultimately amputation was a possibility, and at that point they didn't really think it would happen in a million years. However, one of the first things he spoke about was how to keep a leg on, and he showed me a video of a little girl doing cartwheels with a prosthetic leg to prove that the leg doesn't fly off. Now, there's a lot of ways that it is held on, and it seems to vary a lot country to country as well. So there's three basic systems. There is a limb sleeve, which is what I had been using, which is the black neoprene layer that comes up over the top of the socket onto my leg and holds everything in place. Then you've got a pin lock system, which is a pin that is inserted into the end of the liner. That's the thick jelly-like layer I put on underneath everything. And a pin goes into the leg and you lock the leg in place. And there's a third one, and that's suction. And basically, your leg is kept on with a suction system. I don't know too much about the suction system, but suction is suction, really. And that means you don't need the extra layer of neoprene on the top, the limb sleeve. Now, I asked when I went back, because I'm totally sick of the limb sleeve, because it rolls down at the top and it ends up cutting into the back of my leg and I can't keep it up at all, and it was driving me insane. And I asked him a couple of months ago now if he could order me another one, and it still hasn't arrived. Now, this is what I was talking about the other day with parts. We're really struggling because a lot of New Zealand's parts and things, cars and vegetables and all sorts of things, New Zealand relies an awful lot on imports because of its size and where it is in the world. And prosthetics is no different. So prosthetics relies on importing parts from other places. And this limb sleeve has still not arrived. And I asked for it, 2 months ago, and it's still not arrived. So we were talking about, I asked, I'm done with this, I'm sick of it, is there another way? And the new limb sleeve he's ordered me is not made of neoprene, it's something else. So I guess I'm just gonna have to wait and see what it's like. But meanwhile, is there another way? And I asked about the pin lock and the suction systems, and he told me both of those weren't suitable at the moment. Suction relies on the leg being a stable size, obviously, because as soon as it shrinks a bit more, then the leg will fly off. Now, that makes sense, and it's probably too early at the moment for me to be able to use that. But I asked also about the pin lock, and he said the similar thing. It's too early, the leg needs to stay at a stable size for the pin lock to actually work, and they wouldn't use that on me either. So that leads me back to the limb sleeve. But in other countries, I've seen some people being given the pin lock for the very first leg. So it's a real mystery to me as the whole science of the thing and why it differs so much country to country. But I'm for the moment stuck with the limb sleeve, and I hope the new one is slightly better than the old one, because the old one was driving me completely insane. Not that this shrinker isn't, because it's sliding down off my leg as well, and it also drives me insane, which is why I take it off sometimes. So I'm stuck with this limb sleeve for now. Then I asked about the skin covering, because I wanted this next leg to be leg shaped. It's a shame I can't have more than one, because sometimes I want to rock that prosthetic and make it absolutely not look like a leg, and sometimes I want to blend in and make it look like a leg, you know, like foot tights, exercise tights and things like that. So I asked about this next one, and whether the skin covering covered the whole socket and everything else, whether we need to pick a new jazzy theme for the socket and whatnot. And apparently, if you imagine the socket, there's the end of my leg there, and the socket comes all the way up to the top of my knee. Apparently, only the top little section, and then the socket will carry on further down here. Only the top little section is actually visible. The rest of it's blended in as a skin covering. So, I'm not sure whether I want to put the Union Jacks on a bit that you'll never see because it'll be under this limb sleeve, or not. I haven't quite decided yet, and whether the Union Jacks even arrived. If the limb sleeve hasn't, who's to say that they will have either? So there is a lot of science that goes on when it comes to keeping a leg on. And then after you've got the limb sleeve or the suction or whatever else, then you've got the socks for when the leg changes size. Now, I have no idea how long it's going to be before my leg starts to be a stable size. It's like, how long's a piece of string? I follow somebody on Instagram who's still going through sockets every 8 weeks, a year and a half in. I seriously hope it calms down before then, because going to Dunedin 3 times in 3 weeks every 6 weeks is going to absolutely drive me insane, especially when I have to take all that time off work and I only get subsidized. It doesn't get paid for. So that's an extra expense that I have to outlay just in order to maintain a leg. All these things you don't consider when you become an amputee. So that is the crux of how to keep a leg on. That is why I have still got the limb sleeve, much to my disgust. And I'm hoping that the leg size will start to calm down soon, so I don't have to go up to Dunedin every 3 weeks for 3 weeks. I might as well move there. So there's a little bit of education for you on the leg department, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a great weekend.